Two men on opposite sides of the law, obsessively dedicating their lives to the cops and robbers' pursuit of each other. They do so at the expense of their friends, children, allies, because the only person who can truly understand them is the one they must subdue. What film am I talking about? Well, I'm really glad you didn't read the title. At first glance, your unenlightened minds probably perceive Heat and the Lego Batman movie as different, despite their equal contributions to cinema. Vincent Hanna is the woman-deserting, ambition-driven Jason. Adjacently, Batman is more so the self-made Odysseus, who disguises his real identity. Also Shakespeare, because who doesn't love a tragedy with a single-word title that starts with the letter H? But what have I said? That I was pulling all of this out of my ass. Or, what if? Actually, these two films are more akin to Pyramus and Thisbe, or Romeo and Juliet, or for a more cinematic example, Jerry Maguire.
You complete me.
We as a society need to open our eyes to the clear parallels at play. Narrative-wise, it's not exactly the same, or else just call this Heat 2, which already exists, and Heat 3 just feels excessive. But starting off, the Lego Batman movie is set in Gotham, an urban, dystopian, capitalist hellscape. And what a coincidence, so is LA. Both movies open up with a heist involving the hijacking of a vehicle. A gala dining type event is disrupted by crime while revealing the inner turmoil and isolation of individuals. Concealment of identity, disliking their co-workers, espionage, driving their adopted kids around. Also, these two scenes are similar in aura, I don't know how, but let's just slow down for a minute. Let me introduce you to someone. Vincent Hanna, which I'll just call Pacino, stands at the position of an LAPD lieutenant, as well as 5'6". We also have Bruce Wayne, billionaire, playboy. I don't really give a shit about him, honestly.
Most eligible bachelor like 90 years in a row.
Instead, let's talk about his roommate. Despite being a vigilante, Batman is ultimately a legalist, although him and Pacino should clarify for legal reasons. And Al Pacino-shaped Vincent Hanna, both of them make interesting ethical choices. They're both eccentric, possibly definitely on some sort of white powdery substance, brooding, highly strung, but empathetic, and probably like make Bart Simpson depression edits on Twitter or something.
Because I got a hold on to my angst. I preserve it because I need it. It keeps me sharp, on the edge, where I gotta be.
I don't talk about feelings, Alfred. I don't have any. I've never seen one. I don't feel anything emotionally except for rage.
However, it's the solitude they have at home that speaks volumes. They're often eating alone.
I'm sorry if the goddamn chicken got overcooked.
Pacino leaves and returns to a gathering, where his inability to discuss his feelings with Justine fractures their marriage.
You live among the remains of dead people.
Meanwhile, Batman is similarly reminded of his isolation, like when he crashes the Fortress of Solitude. I don't know about Al Pacino, but Bruce motherfucking Wayne can definitely afford to live in therapy for his roommate. Now, Batman's main characterization being his hidden identity might seem to mirror a bit more of the Robert De Niro-shaped Neil McCauley, who lies about being a metal salesman to Edie.
I work in metals, I'm a salesman.
Which I feel like really isn't the same thing. So let's see how I can twist this to fit my agenda. For Pacino, in his devotion to his work, we see him feel the need to perform for an ordinary life, which is now doomed his third marriage. Whereas for Batman, Bruce is the facade for normality.
Does Batman live in Bruce Wayne's basement?
No, Bruce Wayne lives in Batman's attic.
And obviously to protect the sanctity of his heterosexual spandex-wearing activities, but ultimately the vigilante alter ego is the authentic part of himself. And we see them relentlessly stalking their enemies' every move. So both men feel their true selves when chasing other men? So, speaking of these other men, the antagonists of De Niro and the Joker, they will start with D, they're case closed, they're the same person. They're both professional criminals, although the Joker clears because he's been here for like 78 years, and also he doesn't fucking die at the end. They're both highly attuned to the cat and mouse chase, using that to their advantage, like when De Niro leads Pacino to the metal suppository and takes photos from afar instead of just, I don't know, going up to him and just asking for a selfie. The Joker takes it a step further, with his entire scheme based on falsely surrendering, tempting Batman to steal the Phantom Zone projector and find him in Arkham and all the shit that happens in this film that I've watched 12 times. But overall, on the surface, their personalities and motivations are drastically different. The Joker lives and breathes chaos, but it's always to complement Batman's existence. You can chalk down his aims to blow up Gotham as just for the shits and giggles, but without Batman, he's just shitting, not giggling. He appears to be exacting his revenge like a jilted lover, like Jason's Medea. On the other hand, De Niro has simple goals, Number 1, retirement. Number 2, never going back to jail. And number 3, making it clear that he's not doing thrill-seeker liquor store holdups or a born-to-lose tattoo on his chest. Which, out of context, is perfectly respectable. But it's easy to see the contrast between him and the other 3 characters, especially with whatever the fuck Pacino is on that I desperately want. Basically, De Niro actively runs away from Pacino, whereas the Joker actively lures Batman. De Niro is married to the grind, suppresses his attachments in a way that's almost Batman-coded. So what now? Does my video just fall apart, or...? To rectify this, let me address the elephant in the room. So pull over, cause I'm paying for coffee.
What do you say I buy you a cup of coffee?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
Follow me.
Interesting note is that the original script actually has De Niro asking Pacino to buy him coffee. But either way, the diner scene is very much evocative of a date. And holy shit, we're fucking matching. So here's when Pacino and De Niro finally and officially meet for the first time, with an eye-to-eye adversarial intensity, whatever that means. While Batman and the Joker have had an 8-decade situationship at this point, I still find an intriguing parallel. Both antagonists are really the ones who remind their counterparts of their similarities and their inextricable connection. In Pacino's interrogation, De Niro doesn't hesitate to immediately link to their codependent roles.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
He already knows that Pacino's quirky, he's not about that normal life of barbecues and ball games. Although, who knows, maybe the latter is just exactly what he's missing in life. When Pacino points out that his private life is suffering, De Niro says,
If you're around me and you gotta move when I move, how do you expect to keep a marriage?
And at this point of his confrontation, he delivers a couple of leading questions.
So then if you spot me coming around that corner, you just gonna walk out on this woman? Not say goodbye?
That's the discipline.
Long story short, De Niro knows that he's Pacino's priority, he's special. Just like the Joker, he sees through Batman denying his greatest enemy, or that he's fighting around, that man whore.
I am fighting a few different people.
What?
I like to fight around.
Okay, look, I'm fine with you fighting other people if you want to do that, but what we have is special.
So, De Niro's not trying to dissuade Pacino from this continuous pursuit. Instead, he's basically confirming that an external commitment is not viable. And there's an extra layer to his famous or infamous line.
Don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around a corner.
At the end, he doesn't really have to ghost Edie. It came out of his temptation to kill Waingro. And that's how he ends up on the tarmac of LAX with Al Pacino. Which is not a euphemism, but it sounds like it should be. His fatal flaw, his hamartia, was the chase itself. So maybe the real heat all along was... I'm gonna stop there. And the Joker's subsequent confrontation aligns quite well with De Niro. They're not really showing revelations to their counterparts, but more like revealing these repressed emotions.
You've run away from every other person in your life, but I'm the one you're always chasing.
He's the closest to understanding Batman's true self, including his, his government name self.
Whoa. Hold on a sec. Are you trying to tell me that Bruce Wayne is Batman's roommate?
Both of these guys look at each other and recognize the mutuality of their condition. When honestly they should just, couples counseling. But poetic drama makes it more entertaining. When Pacino holds the hand of his fallen enemy, we get a sense of conflicted satisfaction, even if we knew this would happen. I can't really tell if it's better or worse that Pacino was the one who put the bullets into De Niro. Although, for him, maybe that turns him on, I don't know. Because Pacino can go back. Also, I'm trying to go for a funeral look here. Pacino can go back. This case over, another case on. Maybe a fourth marriage. But right here, right now, it truly hits him that the connection he's been seeking all this time blossoms at the death of the only person who can provide it. Flipping the coin, De Niro's last breaths lie in expressing the same resonance. Such is the tragedy of De Niro, never going back. He's never going back to Edie, to prison, to any semblance of normality. But at the same time, he's never going back to the chase that fueled his and Pacino's life in the first place. And thus, his must end. As for the Joker, it doesn't matter to him if he's going back to Arkham or the Phantom Zone, because he'll take Gotham at the verge of collapse, literally the end of the world to see his feelings reciprocated.
I'm gonna have to die to know it.
But here's when I bring the new twist to my argument. Not because I ran out of ideas. Batman is Pacino reincarnated. I'm pulling a Cars Asteroid City here right now. Let me elaborate to you lay people. So, the Lego Batman movie shows the numbing aftermath of one losing the adversary that gave them their life purpose. Batman's redemption arc eventuates with him confessing to their codependence.
You're the reason why I get up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and pump iron until my chest is positively sick. You're the reason I've given up a life spent with Russian ballerinas and lady activewear models. And if it wasn't for you, I never would have learned how connected I am with all these people.
As well as Pacino's ability to form such profound connections with the people he serves for and with. And it's all because of De Niro. There's a reason why Batman has historically never killed there's like 1,000 of these storylines, I don't fucking know. So this film gives them a chance to openly acknowledge this, to allow their coexistence, in a case where they don't have to compromise their morals, and have a relatively healthier social life despite the morally questionable act of putting your adopted child on the front lines, and to say, I hate you. So we emerge from tragedy. I'm reminded of a line of dialogue by Shirless in the earlier acts of Heat.
For me, the sun rises and sets with her, man.
Okay.
Because in Heat's final shot, late at night, De Niro and Pacino coexist over glints of the runway lights, while for Batman and the Joker, standing in front of streaks of the sun as it sets, Batman is pardoned from solitude and embraces what gives him life.
Maybe that's the way it'll be. Or, who knows?
Well, maybe we'll never see each other again.
Well, I guess I'll be seeing you on the streets, Batman.
I guess so. Catch you later, Joker.
Now that we have that shit out of the way, the Lego Batman movie is a rom-com, we all know that. But so is Heat. And I'm not just talking about the repressed feelings arc, you know? Just look at the other tropes, like them finishing each other's sentences.
I don't know how to do anything else.
Neither do I.
I don't much want to either.
Neither do I.
Or like poor Pacino got dumped.
They dumped us.
What do you mean they dumped us?
I had coffee with McCauley half an hour ago!
As a doctorate degree owning person with a doctorate degree in linguistics, the language of pursuit is quite identical regardless of whether it's adversarial or romantic. You know, Pacino should take out De Niro, and so he does that twice, just to cover both bases. He poses for De Niro's camera, they stare at each other through surveillance equipment, and if that wasn't clear enough...
Vice Sergeant says Hanna likes you.
I'd say where it obviously falls short of the Lego Batman movie's outright allusion to rom-com tropes, Pacino kind of compensates by having some respect and admiration for the guy, at least. I guess they're more of like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith situation, but we can always just circle it back to
Serendipity!
Also the extra credit reading, guys. There are some interesting character foils with the women and children of their life. Although Justine and Lauren obviously play very different roles with Lauren and Robin. That shit rhymes. The same people. Although I think it's interesting with Edie versus Harley Quinn. Edie just kind of rolls with it and goes like, yeah, sure, let's go to New Zealand, you're a international fugitive. And it's giving a bit of earlier on, like, Harleen Quinzel vibes, you know? But here is the real deal. As I was trying to link up the actors to see if there was any sort of projects in between that could connect them across, I realized that in the Lego Movie 2014, there is a minor character who's a master builder called the Hazmat Guy. And according to a fandom wiki, which very reputable source that cannot be altered and changed by anyone arbitrarily, he was voiced by no other than Al Pacino himself. Now I plugged it into IMDb and all the letters and shit. Can't verify it, but I did my own field research. I went through it. I wasn't exactly firing all cylinders at that time. I heard some vaguely male, older New York accents.
Get him out of here, I don't want to look at it.
So I'm not exactly sure, and I'm kind of devastated, but I'm launching an international investigation on that. There are some other ones I can verify, though. For example, Danny Trejo, who was also in Heat, he was in not one, but two other movies with Will Arnett. The one being Grindhouse, and the second one being Muppets Haunted Mansion. But also a direct one, which is the Saturday Night Live 40th Anniversary Special. I don't know if they interacted, And so I've hit a gold mine. I've cracked a code. I've done crack. At this conclusion, after all I've done and contributed to this world, there's only 3 things I want to do in life. 1 is retire. 2 is not going to jail. And 3, I might get a tattoo. Like, right here. What do you think, guys?